Hey everybody. So this has been one heck of a trip so far, and it's only about, I don't know, 12 hours in. Today we're up in New Hampshire. Right now it's sunrise in the morning around 6:30 on Saturday. But so far this has been one heck of a trip. Honestly, came up here to take a few pictures. It's a new moon, so do a little astrophotography and test out, if you can see over here on the Jeep, a new rooftop tent and a rack system, which I'll get into later. But so far this trip has been up and down for sure. Brief summary of what's happened so far. Work was a bit stressful, so we got out of work late, drove up here around 5 o'clock. So that was kind of a downer. Upper, made a banging homemade chicken parm sub that we devoured on the way up. That was great. Got up here to the White Mountain National Forest. Got up here though, and the campsite they were planning on staying at, which is the Hancock campsite, thought it would still be kind of early and cold out and people wouldn't want to be camping, but it was completely full. Not a single spot, not even in the overflow lot, tent only site, which wouldn't have worked for us anyway, but not a single spot open. So that was a bit of a bummer. Kind of had to figure out what to do. After that, went up to a good astrophotography spot that we knew of. The sky was beautiful, got a few shots. That went really well. Drove to the other campsite that we knew was open. That one was completely full, so back to square one. And I won't get into details of where we stayed, but we did officially stay in the rooftop tent for the first time last night. But given the fact that we were as courteous and as legal as possible, it wasn't 100% by the book, so I'm not going to get into that. But here we are on the, whoa, sun's really coming out now. We are at the viewing spot across from the Omni Mount Washington Hotel on the, I guess this would be the western side of the mountain with the sun rising over the top of it. Now that we got a few pictures, I'm planning on cooking breakfast, I think right here in the parking lot. Then figuring out if we can head back to the campsite and snag one from somebody who left this morning. Fingers crossed. Go on a few hikes that I've planned out, take a few more pictures, and then if all goes well, we'll give you a tour of the rooftop tent and the roof rack up here. If not, I'll do it right when I get back home. Never insult the campsite gods, because we found a spot somehow. Oh, and I think we beat them by like a minute. How you doing?
Sorry, people.
They might get that one. That's okay. We have a site. I am good with it.
We can sleep and we can set it up while it's light out.
I know. Look at it. What was it, campsite 34?
I'll go get
Forgot my tripod. I have to go back to the car. So starting out with these Chief Products WK2 roof racks, I really like them. These are actually the second roof racks I got for this Jeep, for this tent specifically. I started off with a pair of Yakimas with the, I forget what specific SKU they were, But I like them because you could, like a traditional roof rack, there's 4 posts, 2 on each side, and it was really easy to take the crossbars on and off. And I envisioned being able to kind of lift this on and off and getting a second set of crossbars and being able to have a greater utilization of the roof rack more easily. But the tolerances just aren't there. It's such a pain to line up the brackets to get them on and fit right. Chief Products WK2 rack comes in several different variations. I got the rooftop tent version, which comes with 2 of these rails and 2 of the crossbars, plus all the mounting hardware, and these black, more sturdy brackets. You can also get just the sidelines or a full-on overland kit with a perimeter and several of these crossbars and tie-down points and the whole shebang. But since I was only using for the tent, I got the tent version, which, like I said, comes with 2 of these rails and 2 of the crossbars. The reason why I like these, the first thing, is that, one, it's solid metal construction throughout. The factory roof rails are plastic and what feels like a pretty cheap chrome metal, and it just, the bolts going in there, which there was only 4, didn't feel very sturdy. Which brings me to the next point. The Yakima rails, or even factory rails, have 2 mounting points on each side. These Chief rails, I don't know if you can see, they have 6. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back in there is 6. And those are factory mounting points. So when you take the factory rails off of a spec'd properly Jeep, there are already 6 tapped holes in there for you to mount this on. And these crossbars are significantly wider and flatter, which means there's a lot more contact between the mounting rails and these racks. I don't know quantitatively how much it is, but qualitatively, being up there on both roof racks, these feel much sturdier. There's much less movement overall. So really like them. The downsides to these rails are really just that there's significantly more mounting hardware. It takes a lot longer. It's not as straightforward as 2 bolts, 2 crossbars, and pop it on. And getting the stock iKamper mounting hardware to play nice with the Chief Products mounting hardware and crossbars took a little bit of finessing, but now that it's up there, I really like it. So after the debacle with Yakima and upgrading to the Chief rails, on top we have the iKamper Skycamp Mini. This is one of their newest and smallest models, and has been, well, iKamper in general came up with the first ever hardtop fold out expandable rooftop tent. So this front piece folds back into the shell, and then the clamshell folds down. This has 2 advantages. One, the hardtop rooftop tent is much easier to take out and put away once you get to camp and when it's raining. And also the hard shell has significant less wind noise. You don't have to worry about it ballooning if you don't tie it down hard enough. So really like those 2 aspects of it. The reason why we went with the Mini and not the 4X or one of the other larger models is because of the size of the roof. You might think that in car or truck or SUV, whatever you want to call it, crossover technically, because it's a unibody, one of the first crossovers, could support a full-size rooftop tent, but actually the roof line on the Grand Cherokee is only about 4 to 5 feet long, and most of the larger 4-person tents, at least the hardtop fold-out ones, are around 6 feet long, meaning that this tent, if it was the full-size one, would overhang the front of the windshield. And most people, when that happens, either deal with the wind noise or deal with the movement or add additional supports, and I just didn't want to do that. There's really only going to be 2 people in it at any given time anyway, so the Mini seems to be the perfect size. It seems to fit really well on this roof rack. I love the way it looks. I also really like how sturdy it is when you're in it and when you're on the move. Yeah, so that's why the iKamper Skycamp Mini. Some other awesome features of the Skycamp Mini are these fold out awning windows. Inside there's mesh and also another plastic one. This right here is the rain shell. You can take that off if you want, but I'm pretty much gonna always leave it on. Another window on this side and an extendable ladder. Once you go up inside of it, right now we have our sleeping bags set up. As you can see, there's the windows to front and left and right, and well, front and back of the vehicle, as well as a skylight up top. Now that skylight is not open to the world because the rain cover is up, but if you took that off, it would just be the mesh out there. And all the iKamper hardtop tents, there's a map of the world in the back, which is also insulated. And with the rooftop tent comes this fairly comfortable, though not groundbreaking, maybe 2-inch memory foam mattress. So like I said, there's 2 of us in here right now. We are not the smallest people in the world and we seem to fit just fine. Haven't had any issues yet supporting the weight or moving around or being in here at all.